Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow.
Woo! Hello, everybody out there in the world. It's mid-April, fucking crazy, and we're hitting our monthly TNA. It's crazy that we're kind of only getting these out once a month these days. I love it. I love having all the guests. I love still being able to catch up with you, and that's exactly kind of what we're doing today. A little recap. I'm on the road right now, so I hope I sound okay out there. I'm very self-conscious of the echoing in the hotel room, so I feel like I'm talking at a weird volume. I'm like, do the people next to me hear me? And like, I feel so loud.
Oh, who cares? You'll be out in an hour.
Totally. And it's like a fine time in the morning. It's not 6 a.m., you know? So anyways, yeah, I'm on the road because I am heading to, I think I mentioned this on the podcast we had with Brooke, that I got into the Futurist Project, a leadership program around the outdoor industry. So I'm on the way to start that program off. We have our meetup and little kickoff thing to the program going. I'm really, really excited to finally get things going with that. It feels like such a good time in life too. Things have been crazy busy and will continue to be that way, but it will be really nice to start to tie this program in, I think, while things are busy, so I can really see how I can implement things from the program.
Yes.
So, and yeah, I've just never done anything like this, so I'm just really fucking stoked to meet the people and just get things going, because a few
and
months
put on
ago,
this new hat.
yeah, I mean, like, in December, I was like, "Oh, this is never gonna happen for me." So the fact that it did and I got in and it's happening, it feels like super cool and amazing. And yeah, I'm just really, like I said, I can't stop saying, just excited to get it going and like see what is gonna happen and come from this. So anyways, yeah, on the road from that, but I also just came from Sea Otter, which is probably what we'll spend a good chunk of this episode talking about. I'll give you guys a quick little rundown who don't know, who aren't in the bike world or immersed in that kind of like outdoor industry or bike industry. The Sea Otter Classic is in Monterey, California. It has been going on for like 30 plus years. It is a huge, huge festival. It takes place at Laguna Sequoia, which is like a raceway out there in Monterey. And there's hundreds of vendors down like in the middle of the track, and from this little vendor village, all these bike races take off. There's dual slalom, there's cross country races, gravel races, downhill mountain bike races. It's crazy. And I mean, I've followed. I am definitely more on the like outdoor industry side of things, not bike specific, but it and like that, and more soft goods too is what I know more about. But I'm not fully in the bike world where I know like every racer, or I'm up on the components and what's going on in the bike world. So this was super interesting to kind of be fully immersed in the bike side and not the outdoor industry as a whole. And you know, I know of some of the athletes. There's some of the women athletes that I've heard of, but again, I don't follow, especially like gravel or those things, a lot. So I'm not in this crazy cycling world. So at first I kind of felt a little bit out of place, that I'm like, oh my God, I don't belong here. I don't know what's going on. I'm not fangirling over this or that. But I was super excited to see some of the apparel businesses that and gear companies that we've had on, like Wild Rye was there, Shredley was there, Po Campo, Drink Bivo. Goodness, I'm sure there's more. I met this other brand that I've been really meaning to reach out to and talk to, Curious Creatures, who they were at the Sturdy Dirty last year. But if you guys have all been listening, Sturdy Dirty last year, it was very rough for me, that after the race, like Amber so kindly just stayed by my side, and we were just beat. Like,
wouldn't want it any other way, my dude.
Yeah. So we just didn't really get out and about and chatting with the vendors and stuff last year, compared to the year before. But also you're up on course for like 6 hours at the Sturdy Dirty when you do the longer races. So yeah, it takes a lot out of you and it's hot as fuck. But anyways, I didn't get to meet curious creatures there, but I got to meet them at Sea Otter and try on some of their clothes and oh God, just fell in love. So yeah, it was at first, again, just like overwhelming with how many booths there are.
Yes.
And again, feeling like, why the fuck am I here? Like, what am I doing here? You know, I have a very short list of people I want to talk to. I had some like content creation ideas, but I'm like, how am I going to execute these really? Because it's kind of crazy. And so it was this mixed bag of feelings where I didn't feel like I belonged there. And then also, like, on Thursday as I'm walking around, I'm like, "How am I gonna spend 4 full fucking days here?" I feel like I can kinda hit my short list, like, today, Thursday, and be done, with the exception of there's, a ride I was going on Friday and a ride on Saturday, but and that was in, like, the first 2 hours of Thursday, but damn, shortly after that, when I started talking to people and, uh, little things started going on, there's little events throughout the festival and stuff that I was like, "Oh, no." Like, I was running out of time, like, running from place to place, like, "Oh my god, I gotta be here, I gotta be" there's people I didn't see, booths I didn't go see, and I was like, "Holy shit, how did that happen? How did the 4 days fly by?" And I feel like I got a a small portion of the things done that I wanted to actually or could have, so, that was a good feeling.
And
Yeah.
why do our brains do that? We show up to these places that are it's overwhelming. Like, I remember being at Sturdy Dirty and kind of being in, like, this shell shock where I'm just like, "Oh my god, there's so many people and so many bikes and so many booths," and, like, I just had to, like, stop and take it in for a second and just observe
Yeah.
and then dive in, you know what I mean? And then once you
Yeah.
start talking, this the outdoor industry, bikes, cycling, swimming, whatever. It's so small once you start talking to the
Mhm.
people because of this unifying passion that we all have for
Yeah.
just doing what we love in the outdoors, baby.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened, like, Thursday, I just kept saying, like, "Okay, Thursday's the day to really just take it all in. Walk around, check things out, let the
Get a lay of the
mind."
land.
Yeah, exactly, and let everything kinda catch up, figure out what I actually can do, 'cause not having not been before, and especially not in this, like, realm, not just as a visitor of it, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to expect." So, yeah, Thursday, just get around, talk to people, figure things out, introduce myself to people who I've met online and haven't met in person because that was the thing. Even though there was people there that I like quote unquote felt like knew because they've been on the podcast and I've talked with them like outside the podcast and whatnot, I haven't been able to meet like any of them in person. So it was really cool to be able to meet in person finally and leading up to Sea Otter, I was posting on LinkedIn about it, so I made some more connections previously to people who hadn't been on the podcast that wanted to meet. So it was super cool. I got to meet this gal, Jill and Danielle from Salsa, and they were super fucking awesome. Danielle and I had a long
Yes.
conversation about like bike packing, and Jill was just an awesome person, a live mechanic I connected with and chatted with a ton and got some content with her that I'm excited to put out into the world, some video content like quick how-tos, like how to lube your chain, how to remove your rear tire, really basic things, but it's like these things that a lot of us don't do. And so I'm sure out there listening, there's people who listen to this pod who do know it all and do it. But there's also those of us who just ride the bikes and don't really do the things because you're like you're afraid to break something or whatnot. So I like to have a mix of content and the beginner, like how to do this, especially when it comes to fixing and torquing and wrenching. That is where my passion lies. So I want to dive into all those things. Um,
In
but yeah,
addition
so it was just,
to in addition to bike mechanicking, it's also having the right tools. Like
yeah,
right now, my chain is not on my road bike, and I'm like, fuck, I need one of those tools or someone who has done it before who can
yeah,
like use a one-off tool. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so
Well, it's so hard. Like these videos are great, but it can be very hard to just do a YouTube, like watch a YouTube video, then do the thing. Because
yeah,
again, do you have the right tools or are you like me where you're second guessing every fucking thing? So I
all the
learned much
time.
better in person, seeing it done, having someone over my shoulder because I'm so self-conscious of like breaking something. And that comes from honestly like this scarcity mindset of coming always back to money. Like I can't afford to break anything. I do
Yes.
not want to buy a single anything. So I don't want to break anything, even if it ends up being like the cheapest like component or whatever that I break. I'm just constantly terrified of breaking something and
Yes.
then having to like buy something new. So I definitely need to go to therapy about my money mindset.
Yes. And or when you're working on a bike, you break something, you're going down another rabbit hole. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Which will require other tools.
Mhm.
It's not just a scarcity mindset, it's also a your knowledge base. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's just good to know the ABCs of bikes. And the more
You know
you
what?
do bikes,
I
it is
love
a
that you said
thing.
that because we
Air,
did a video. Yeah.
air
Brakes,
brakes,
chain,
compression,
and well, so
drum
many
outputs.
different things it could be depending on your bike setup and
Yep.
stuff. Like we did ABCD, and it was air, brakes, cockpit, and drivetrain. Uh,
Love
so,
it.
because in
What's
that
the
cockpit,
cockpit?
the cockpit, like your handlebar situation,
Love that.
and so yeah, you
Love
can
that.
tie a lot into it. You can check your front, but yeah, compression or chain, like, but we covered chain in the drivetrain. So yeah, so many things. So it was
Yes.
really great and super cool. But yeah, like I said, Thursday, these thoughts coming into my brain like, "Oh my god, how am I gonna, like, make this work and be here all weekend?" Like, I already paid for camping for 4 days, so I don't wanna leave early, but yeah, so I didn't have to. There was no thought about my mind of leaving, like, a day early by any means, and I was just after the fact like, "Oh, man, maybe I could have used time a little more wisely and hopped around here or there," but I also am not, like, letting myself dive into that because like, it is what it is. I got so much out of it. There was really only one booth I felt bad about not stopping by, and that was Peppermint Cycling, who had reached out to me because I went to Sea Otter as media. I got a media pass, and
Yeah,
because
you
of
did,
that yeah,
bitch.
um, because of that, you get put on a media list. So prior to the event, all these brands, like, you get blasted with, like, PR emails, which is super cool because you get to find out about maybe things you didn't know about or, hear about things they're doing that you can stop by and see, kinda have a game plan ahead of time. So Peppermint was one of those that had reached out. They were doing a group ride on Sunday, and they wanted people to try stuff out. So they, asked my size. They put aside a kit for me to try for this group ride. But by Sunday, was absolutely dead. They were doing like a 20-mile gravel ride. I was like, there's no fucking way because I said, I didn't end up leaving early, but that's when I thought I might leave a full day early. I still didn't leave too early on Sunday, but I was like, there's no way I can go on a ride at 9 and be out for like a couple plus hours and finish off the things I want to do Sunday, the last minute visits I want to do, pack up my camp and get on the road and drive 5 hours home, knowing that the very next day I was getting back on the road to drive 5 hours to get halfway to Utah, to drive
Gamble.
4 hours on Tuesday, to turn around on Wednesday and drive again either 4 to 8 hours Wednesday. So pretty much from Sunday through Thursday, I might be driving 4 to 5 hours every day. So yeah, so I didn't end up going on that ride on Sunday. And I was like, but I'll go to the booth, say hi, and thank you for like putting, the kit aside. And I'm so sorry I didn't make the ride. And the day fucking got away from me. I didn't even make it by the booth. I was like, oh, I felt so bad. I emailed them on Monday, like, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm so sorry I didn't make it by the booth. And they were like totally understanding, like, hey, we know how it is. But I do feel
Good.
like, goodness, I surely could have made time to stop by the booth. But again, first Sea Otter, we're figuring out timing and things. One thing I figured out for sure is like, it is very hard to have a schedule and be like, let's do this at 9 a.m. Be here at 10:30, like, because shit just happens. You start talking to people or there's so much to do. But I did get out on a ride, and I got
Good.
out on a gravel bike. So my very first like actual gravel bike ride. I told
Love it.
people I loved it. And so the thing is, it's like I was telling people, you know, I've been wanting a gravel bike for like 3 years, but I've really only ridden one, and that was your salsa gravel bike that you have. And it was still just on the road. It was just to like, we went and got dinner, happy hour or something, it was
Lobster
quick.
bisque,
Um,
baby.
yeah, yes. And so it was great, but again, it was just like down the road, not much experience like on the bike to tell like, do I need this? Do I want this kind of thing? So it was about an 8 mile ride. However, it was, and so, okay, let me start from the beginning. It was a Live Devote, which is the bike that I want. Um, except for it was like higher end, the carbon frame that I was demoing, which I will definitely not be purchasing a carbon frame. But it was so fucking lightweight. It was crazy. Uh, Pedaling up this hill felt pretty fucking good. The first hill that was like all road. And then we were on like this beautiful ridge top in Monterey. It was windy as fuck though, and I felt the wind like really moving me. And I was like, wow, I've I've never felt the wind move me. Like, this is incredible. I feel so light, with this very light fucking bike. And
Did
then we
you
got
like
on
that
some
feeling?
of it
Did you
being so
like the
light.
feeling of the carbon frame?
Though it felt too light for me. Um, I didn't feel, but that's also probably a mix of things, being my first like gravel ride in general, that there's all these things that play, like smaller tires and getting the positioning used to, because being in drop bars instead of big wide
Yes.
flat bars.
Yeah.
So all of that being smaller at once was, I think, the hardest part, which uh and so I just know I don't need a carbon frame right now to get into it, but, yeah, everything just felt too light and small and thus unstable to me is how I
Yes.
felt. But I also knew it was 'cause of all these changes at once. And so anyways, then we go down this road for a while, and we get to some single track, and I was like, "Oh, I was not expecting single track on this ride, but this is great, to try. I'm trying all the things because with the gravel bike that I want, or why I want one that is versatile to single track, gravel, and pavement, because I know that where I live and the routes that I can take from my house to town has a mix of all that. I can go all gravel, all pavement, hit some single track. So I want to feel comfortable in being able to do all of that on this type of bike. So it was a really great test, but the seat was a touch too high, which I noticed out of the gate. Um, which the mechanic setting it up, she did mention, she's like, "Do you wanna lower it a little bit?" And I was like, "No, I think I'll be okay." And I did have some thicker soled shoes on, but I was like, "My bike shoes are thick soled too, so we should be alright." But I think, yeah, just the tiniest hair too high to start, and then being on single track, especially where I don't have a dropper post to get that seat out of the way, that was not the most comfortable ride, because first of all, very unfamiliar with the bike and how it handles anything. Like I said, smaller setup, being a narrow position in the arm, smaller tires, and then not being able to get that fucking seat like down and out of the way. Felt super awkward on some of the like a little bit steeper pitches. Nothing was crazy by any means on this trail, but you definitely notice that something's keeping you a little bit more forward than I would normally be positioned in my mountain bike.
Sliding.
Yeah. But all that being said, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to put a dropper post on a gravel bike that I get because that is a thing. People do it. And again, for the terrain that I want to and the versatility I want out of a gravel bike, I need a dropper post.
Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I was
So
thinking drop handlebars.
no, just a dropper seat post on my gravel because most gravel bikes do not come with a dropper post automatically because
Do not.
they are, mostly on a road. And yes, you're going downhill, but not like the single track that mountain bikes are on typically. But people do put dropper posts on them. And I was like, yeah, 100% I would do that. And I would also put a little bit bigger tires on than what I had. But anyway, it was an amazing ride because I got to experience literally all of these different types of terrain of which I would ride the bike on. So I was like, okay, because I'm like, yeah, do I really need a gravel bike? I can just use my mountain bike for everything, which is true, but it felt fun and good, and I would like to have an option for different things and mounting options and stuff. So, but again, when I showed up to that ride, it was a big group ride. I don't know how many people, 20 maybe. Maybe more, but they're all in like clipless shoes and spandex. And I was like, oh, fucking no. Like they say easy pace, like I'm a turtle. I'm going to lose them out of the gate. So I was honestly planning, like, well, if we start off on a climb to get out of this venue, I might just, and they're all gone in 5 seconds. I might just instantly just turn around. They're not keeping track. No one's waiting for me. I'll just I
Flat on
tried
out.
kind of thing. Yeah, totally. But I made it up that road climb and I was like, okay, was that it? But no, it was not. The
Of course not.
climb out was a big fire road climb. But at that point, it seemed like everyone was like, kind of dispersing, like, okay, great ride. See you guys in the venue. And I didn't think anyone was like going to wait for me, nor did I want to. So I definitely took my time climbing up the road, stopped, took some selfies, like looked around, and then get to this intersection as you're getting closer to the venue because there's also races going on. So and you're in the pathway. Now, not races like there's a big cluster of people whizzing by you. It's like, here comes a racer, one lone racer passing through. You're not in the way. But I didn't want to be in the way. So I'm looking like, I'm not sure if I go up that hill, whatever. Talk to a guy. He's like, oh, yeah, you can go this way, get to the next part. And there's a Y. And the security lady is like, there's a race going on. You can't go that way. And I was like, well, but I can. I know that I can because there's people who aren't racing going up it right now. And then someone goes, Taryn. And I look up and it was a group of people who were on the ride. And I was like, oh my God, they waited for me. And I was like, also, those are my
Awesome.
people. Like, I'm going.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank
My
you guys so
people.
much. Yeah, I didn't know like or expect anyone to
Oh, that
wait.
makes
Like,
my heart so
I know.
happy.
I was like, sorry for one, because like I didn't know anyone was waiting for me. So I was definitely just like moseying around.
Lollygagging.
But like mostly like, thank you so much. That was so nice. You didn't have to
Yeah.
do that. Like, cause I was just going back to the live tent to drop this bike off, like not even going back to the main group. Um, so yeah, that was lovely and really nice. Uh, and yeah, I was just like, oh, of course, I'm just so fucking ready to bike now.
Yes. Oh, now she's got the fever. Not that you
Oh
didn't
yeah.
have it before, but this like solidifies things.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, I hadn't come out of winter yet either, so I was like, I'd think about biking once in a while and be kind of ready to go down the hill from Truckee and bike, but now I'm like, I just want to go home. I can't wait to get home like this weekend and go ride my bike to town and just get longer miles on it to further kind of test some things out, not test things out, but just start to notice some things, because I really want to do some bike packing this summer, and it might be very, very small, like literally go down to one of the reservoirs that's 5 miles down the road, camp overnight, like start there, no big audacious goals right now. But as I had
Yes.
this conversation with Danielle from Salsa, and she was really like encouraging about like, yeah, literally go with what you have. Like, don't add any mounts, don't do anything. Like, and she's like, go on a
Love that.
overnighter where you don't even have to like cook food. Like, you're gonna leave after dinner, pitch a tent, and get up in the morning and go have breakfast at a coffee shop. And they like just take it literally kind of step by step. But we got into some deep conversation of chamois versus no chamois talk. And so
Okay.
there's things that I want to pay attention to with just like how my saddle feels and stuff. And granted, again, this might not be the bike that I do a longer trip on, but still just noticing these little things. Like, I've done a bike fit before, and I notice so I've been aware of things, but also it was my first ride of the season being at Sea Otter too. So,
Also, everything else going on, all the
yeah,
people, like it just takes you
totally.
so far outside of your body
Yeah,
that it's
yeah,
hard to pay attention to all the little intricacies on a bike
yeah,
with your body.
yeah, totally. But so yeah, I was just like, just amped, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go home. And on Friday morning, maybe I can, do my go check out my ride to town, start kind of getting around and seeing what the roads are like, what the trails are like, where there's still like snow, where there might be too much snow to ride or something. And yeah, start dreaming about my gravel bike too. I told Andrew I demoed one. He was like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "Well, you already knew I wanted one." But um, it's again, last year I was like, "Oh, this is the fucking year," and said that the year before, but obviously, so I'm not even gonna say it. It's like
Yeah.
still just a goal, still a goal and a dream to be able to have a more like kind of rigid setup for straight commuting. But I also know obviously my mountain bike could be the one for some of these bike packing trips that I want to do, because it has the full versatility of trail. But yeah, it was just overall so great. So I definitely want to go next year, and hopefully we can get you down next year
Definitely.
as well. So people call it like the Coachella of the bike industry. They call it Bikechella. There was just I met so many fucking people.
Um, Back to the conversation of chamois versus no
Yeah,
chamois.
yeah.
What was that all about? Tell me more.
Okay, so a few things. I actually had it on my list. I wanted to do a little content piece of like chamois versus no chamois, a little contest where literally this like microphone I have shoving it in people's face, like chamois versus no chamois, and keeping track of what the consensus is,
Ellie? Yeah.
and doing then a little like giveaway something, maybe partnering with a brand to do that. But obviously I came up with that idea on site, so I wasn't able
Next year,
to.
honey.
Yeah, totally.
Next year.
But it also there's so many the answer people hate, I hate, but like it depends also anyways on what kind of ride you're doing.
Yes.
Because I go no chamois when I'm doing a short loop. Two of my
Yeah, Abby.
go-to loops, I'm like, I'm not there's no point to put the chamois on because that's just extra laundry. I'm sitting down for like an hour, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, on the climb, so, like, I don't need it. And then longer rides, I'm wearing it when I'm commuting to town, wearing one, and I've been seeing a movement, I feel like, though, of a lot of people going, "No chamois." Now, and that's I wanna dive into some more of the mountain bike girlies who are going no chamois route, and why, if it's as simple as me of, like, laundry. This particular conversation I had with Danielle was about bike packing and hygiene, because that was my question for multi-day, especially the dream bike trip I have is Truckee to Tacoma, um, and I'm like, how do you, I mean, pack lightly enough? And obviously, there's gonna be days you're like probably wearing your chamois multiple days in a row, but you don't wear underwear under a chamois. I'm like, how the hygiene there? What do you do? Because I just get the ick, absolutely, putting on undergarments that are like putting back on undergarments. Like, yeah, I'll wear underwear a couple
Yes.
days in a row is one thing,
Ugh.
but like when you're sweaty as shit and you take that
Fuck
off,
yeah.
and especially like depending on where you might be camping too, and the conditions, if it's wet, like things aren't drying out. So she shared a story with me that I won't share here just because I don't like, that's her story to tell. And but it was something that led her to like, yeah, I might be going down this no chamois road because it is super hard to do multi-day trips and keep things clean. So that, and when you're talking, and so other layers, like I've been trying out this underwear called Branwin. I'm not sure if I've actually talked about them. I'm not
Oh,
sure
I
if they
haven't.
do a hard air or soft day, honestly,
Wah.
but it's wool underwear,
Love
and
it.
a lot of people haven't, are adverse to wool because for whatever, it's itchy, hot, they think this or that and the other, but I fucking love this wool underwear because I do feel like it is definitely moisture wicking and odor resistant, I guess. Like
We're
you
gonna
don't
post this
feel.
in the show notes, right?
Oh yeah, and I think I'm not sure if they have been, if I may have, no, I've added salt, the period underwear. So they're still on the list to get on the pod and talk with the president. I've been talking to them for like months, but the timing is just, been the hardest part.
Yeah.
So anyways, in love with the wool underwear, Danielle and I go down that rabbit hole, and that is really what has got me thinking more about things like chamois and whatnot, of like, dang, I wish these could be wool because I would feel more comfortable using that multiple days. And
Million
that's where, yeah,
percent.
we dove into what she's kind of testing out, is trying to find a nice under layer that is like wool. So a layer you can wear under a pair of baggies, but a lot of underwear, like even the Bronwyn underwear that I have that's like quote unquote seamless, there's still the seam in the middle, where the like crotch part is.
Yeah.
And that seam can hit you wrong on a
Fuck
saddle.
yeah, it can. A lot of
So
moving parts downstairs.
exactly. So this is all a lot of like testing and personal preferences and things. So yeah, our chamois versus no chamois conversation had to do with multiple day trips and the hygiene fact of it when you're not having a new chamois on every day, because like you can't pack 5 chamois and be washing and making sure they're,
Oh.
drying fully and things like that. So something like having a wool base layer, like it just is more hygienic. The
100%.
materials they use are better at keeping stuff clean, antimicrobial, things like that, than the material that's in a chamois. Um, so that is why I also want to test out doing longer rides without a chamois and making sure that, my saddle is in a good position, or finding a good saddle for me, which also that's another hard thing to do when you don't have access to you know, like I don't know
Clean
how many people,
water.
yeah, like I don't know how
Showers.
many people demo saddles. And again, your geometry, the bike, the terrains, there's so many moving pieces at play. But that also reminds me of another company who was there, that I talked to a little bit, called Buy Saddle. And their whole shtick is it's an adjustable saddle. You can move the
Rig
two.
off.
Yeah, I knew you'd love that. And I was like,
Mind-blowing.
wow, that seems amazing, because then you
Innovative.
can, yeah, adjust things if there's an injury, but overall, still, you do need to figure out like where your sit bones hit on the saddle.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of adjust from there too. So lots of intricate things to dive into in the longer seat time world. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested for sure to get a setup dialed in, and yeah, figure some configurations out.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, really cool to be able to talk to people who were like fully into it and have the experience there to know that these ideas coming through my head aren't crazy, and there's a lot of women out there with the chamois conversation. And so that I'm like, good, we need to talk about this, because if we're talking about it, then guess what? That's when things are created. That's when things change. So let's change the chamois world. Let's find
Yes,
a
please.
solution that you can have a chamois that is better suited for multiple day trips,
Yes.
more antimicrobial and all that kind of stuff.
So the ones who don't wear chamois, do they just do chamois butter or like some sort of like cream on their undercarriage?
So it all depends, because also
Yes.
even with chamois, I mean, you're still putting like that. You can still get saddle sores and whatnot. So you're still going to be using that butter like with or without, just depending again on your body, if you're chafing, if you're sitting, if you're getting those saddle sores. So I think regardless, if you're prone to that, you're going to use it. I've never dove into that world because I haven't spent that much time in a saddle to have to use it, but that didn't seem to be anything like, if you don't use a chamois, you need to do this more. Because as Danielle's saying too, it's like you should be in the right position that you don't feel that pain, chamois or no chamois kind of thing. Because also, I don't know about you, but I mean, a chamois, one of my friends, Liz, she was like, hardly ever wore chamois because like, it doesn't fucking matter. It still hurts. Like, I still feel the seat. So again, that means probably the saddle is just really in the wrong position or wrong kind for you. But yeah, I mean, it provides a little bit of padding, but after so much time, it's still not gonna do too much for you there if the position is just all in the wrong place.
So I'm going to do a little TMI if we're okay with that.
Oh, absolutely. Always.
So my undercarriage situation, or my downstairs mix-up, if you will.
I love that.
One of my labias hangs significantly lower than the other one, and whenever
Oh,
I
you've
ride
talked about
bikes,
this.
I
Yeah.
forget to like tuck it back, or like, you know what I mean? I just am like, it's not the first thing I think of. And then
Yeah.
until it's too late, and then this
Mhm.
one labia is just fucking rubbed raw, and it hurts so bad. And I have never considered plastic surgery or surgery for anything, but I'm like, that is one thing that I would be like, cut it out, please.
Yeah.
'Cause she is bugging the fuck out of me. Like, doesn't matter what kind of writing I'm doing. So I just need to like put it in my mind before I hop on a bike. Hey, tuck your right labia. She hangs a little
So
lower.
you've got like A, B, C, D, T, air brake, cockpit, drivetrain, tuck.
Hey. Oh God, yeah. I need to remember to tuck her back.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is, I mean, I'm sure that's the thing with ladies. Oh, yeah, obviously men deal with this shit too, but it's like shit like that people don't talk about, that you feel super awkward, like having this situation go on. And you're like, is this fucking normal? And what do
Normal?
I do?
Yeah.
And obviously, I'd say, trying not to use the term like normal, but is this common, I guess would be better put.
I have,
And yeah.
you go. I was
No,
gonna
no,
say, I
no,
have
no.
one other friend who has the same issue.
Yeah. Okay. So see, it's like, it's probably more common than people think. And like you said, what do you do besides plastic surgery? And obviously in life, there's some things that it's literally like, there's not going to be a fix for that besides that. And whatever makes you feel more comfortable for riding, always like having to like specifically like tuck your situation. But like, that's not as easy as when like guys go like scratch their balls or adjust their ball sack, right? Like to get in your pants and be like,
And especially for women, because our orifice is open and exposed and has pH balancing stuff. Like, we are just so much more prone and open and
Yeah.
beautiful and amazing and powerful and strong and fucking badass and diverse, just women
Well,
shit.
and that's why as I've been thinking about the chamois conversation too, I'm like, well, do men talk about this? And because
Oh, they've got
obviously
to.
they have to, but
Guaranteed.
obviously because it's like they do the same thing, multi-trips and chamois and gross and hygiene. But because of what you just said, I do think that women are more prone to the bad
UTIs.
hygiene effects of a
Mhm.
chamois than men are. So they don't have to worry about it as much because so they're not
Not
getting that
detrimental to their
same
health.
yeah, they're not getting the same kind of like contact or effect from it as women are. So again, just another thing to
Not
think
to
about, but
mention periods.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I have free blood in a chamois. I can't.
So it was funny as I've gotten into period underwear, I think about like my chamois all the time. I'm like, this feels like a chamois, much less because it's not as much padding and whatever. And I'm always thinking about how when I have a chamois on, it feels like a diaper that I could just be like bloop bloop bloop. But yeah, I mean, and that's why I love period. I've come to love period underwear. Not to totally digress, but is like the free bleeding, even though if you wear pads or something, it doesn't feel the same because you're like, you have that material there and it just feels gross. And like in period underwear, it just is a different kind of liberating feel. Like it's not free bleeding because you're protected. Um, there are people out there's a free bleed movement of people. Like it's literally not period under or anything. They're just letting her loose. Um, I don't know what kind of conditions they are generally in, but I like the period underwear, and that makes me feel more liberated that I don't have this gross piece of like foamy plastic and or like a tampon or a cup or something in me because I just don't always like to have something up in there. Like
No,
you
and
just feel like,
sometimes
God,
your
there's just
flow is
another
lighter,
thing.
so you
Yeah.
don't need all the extra.
Yeah. So, um, well, this has like always like also reminded me of, bike packing and these things of like, all right, well, on your period, because I, even when I have a cup in, I feel like I can feel it on my bike specifically
1,000%.
whether especially if I'm on a no shock bike, like my electric bike in town, and I go over a bump, I fucking feel it. And there's other things that I don't, like a cup, or a disc, but those don't fit me right. And so, yeah, as I'm thinking about the bike packing and longer trips, and like, okay, I'm not gonna plan it around my fucking period. Like, you can't. And also,
Yeah.
like, you might go on one so long that you're gonna go through like it might be longer than a month that you're definitely gonna hit it. And I've thought about that, like, all right, well, what would be the most comfortable way? Would it be a cup, a disc, period underwear? Or yeah, maybe it is like you have a dedicated well, it doesn't even have to be dedicated, I guess, if you're washing, obviously you are washing it, but a chamois that you're like, nope, I'm just gonna free bleed it here. So many fucking things to think about. And yeah, it's just interesting, and I'm ready to dive into the bike world, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, podcast audience, like, here we are again, spring, where it's gonna be, like, mostly bike content." I'm like, "No, we're not a bike podcast, but we talk a shit ton about it in the spring and summer."
And then also another thing that comes to mind is those camping the wipe
Mhm.
thing, like the one that we have uh with our brand on it. I forget what they're called, but the like
Oh, cool cloth.
yes.
Yeah.
How does like why can't we get like chamois that are made of like that cool cloth material? Like isn't that
Well, see, I don't know. And,
yeah.
like, maybe there is, like, yeah, someone out there who could make that material because there's chamois out there that are made of wool, like the legging part, but the actual pad part is still not that. So, um, that's why, again, I'm like, well, we need to be having these conversations because then someone out there can make the thing that we need that makes these more hygienic and comfortable. But I hadn't looked this up. I wanted to double check because Have you heard of Lael Wilcox?
No.
She's the one who biked around the world like last year.
Okay.
She which I think she was there at some point, and I didn't get the email till late, like, doing a talk, and I was so fucking bummed that I missed her talk. Anyway, she comes up because, Danielle had said that she has been known to cut the chamois out the pad out of her chamois, like, she rode for companies, and but so I think it was Pearl Azumo that she was known most for, when she rode with them and open about it, like, she wore their chamois, but she cut because she's a an endurance cyclist, so she wears, like, the spandex shorts and spandex tops, so she would wear the chamois shorts because she is sponsored by them, but cut the pad out. So she's been a chamois-less rider on these long rides, and I wanna do some more research too and find out what her stance is and why it does it stem from the hygienic point in longer days or just comfort or what, because again, everyone's gonna have, different reasons and answers and things, but I thought that was really cool to find out that a professional athlete has been very open about doing that, again, making it so it's doesn't feel weird and
Absolutely.
showing people, telling people you're a big name in the cycling world and you're outright saying to your sponsors, like, "This doesn't work for me." And that just helps raise the voices of the needs in the people who aren't being heard. Um, of course, this is a very surface level conversation on bike equipment, but the greater point still being that when you have people who have a platform and they're saying something, like, that lifts everyone else so much more and easier, so, like, that's really fucking cool that she is, like, planting her flag in something and saying it, and again, using, like, her voice and platform for things we need to see that across the board, in the world and bigger issues, obviously, but yeah, so a
Well,
very interesting conversation if
well
we
put.
didn't lose all you there talking about fucking, like, patting your coochie on your bike, so
I love talking about taboo stuff, man. It keeps me hanging on, you
And
know?
again, it's like, okay, here we are both people who've been riding our bikes for a long, um, time, and then there's people listening who've also been riding their bikes a long time who maybe haven't thought down this road, or there's also people who aren't that into bikes and wanna get more into bikes, so they don't even fucking know what a chamois is. By the way, it's a padded bike short,
Yeah.
because bike
Yeah.
shorts are all the rage as far as the cut, the fit, the longer spandex bike shorts, like, as far as style, but the bike shorts we're referring to are the padded shorts, so it looks like you got a little butt diaper on when you see people walking around. Whenever you look at cyclists and you're like, "What the fuck is on their butt?" It's the chamois, the chamois. Um, so
To protect your undercarriage.
yeah,
Downstairs mixer. Hey.
we absolutely, but all in
Speaking
all
of
yeah,
oh, you go. You go.
I was just gonna
My
say, all in all,
transition's
Sea Otter
gonna
was
take us
fucking
totally different.
which is fine. I was just closing this out with, like, Sea Otter was fucking amazing. I wanna go again next year. I wanna get you down there, and there's just so many fun things I think that we can do that would be much easier to execute with 2 people, and this very much felt like a good, like, learning experience, again, to get the lay of the land and get a good idea of, like, what can tearing it up, like, do there. I think I feel accomplished in what I did there for my first time and not having much of a plan,
All by
but
yourself too, which I
yeah,
think
I do
I was gonna bring that to focus is like it's a big thing to go to these things on your own, representing something that you have built, my dude. Be proud of you. Be proud of you. And just like you said, when you first got there, you're like, oh God, what am I doing here? You have that like hold back moment. And then you get in and you're like, I belong here. I'm having
Yeah,
conversations. I'm sharing
mhm,
stories. I'm talking to incredible women. I'm discovering new
yeah,
products like custom saddles. The
yeah.
frick, man.
And people were excited to meet me, so, that felt good. It's like I'm like, "Okay,
Yes.
I'm doing the right thing," like, I'm networking well. LinkedIn, I always talk about them. It is my favorite fucking social platform. I've made so many connections on there, and I've made most of my connections with a lot of the podcast guests through there. And at Sea Otter, these women that I didn't know about beforehand, it was through just fucking LinkedIn posts and comments, and they were, yeah, like so stoked to meet in person. I didn't feel like a little, again, like kind of fangirl, like, hi, I'm Taryn, like, nice to meet you. Like, oh, hey, like, oh my God, yeah, I love what you're doing, kind of thing. So I was like, it felt good. And I felt like I need to say that more too, and to myself of like, yeah, people are noticing and people are also excited to meet me. It's not just on my end. I'm not just the person like begging for, you know, something. Like they want to also talk to me, and I need to, like come into that acceptance of
Yes,
things. And
honey. That's huge. And I'm so
yeah,
proud of you. And I
yeah.
love talking to you. And I just love the conversations and the people that we meet through this podcast. And one thing that I've been thinking a lot about with it is the storytelling aspect.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? It's kind of a lost thing. Like
mhm,
so many cultures, so many like ethnicities are like based on storytelling. You learning from your grandparents, you hearing stories from your grandparents and carrying that along. It is so important. And honestly, with where we're at in this time of life, it is imperative for us to continue to talk and to continue to have these uncomfortable or uncouth or taboo conversations,
mhm.
because that's how we fucking change the world, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I
And
love
just
that
be
you mentioned
real
that.
and
Yeah.
have the connection.
I
It's
love
so important.
storytelling, and mentioning like hearing stories just from your grandparents and stuff. And that's the thing that saddens me most about not having like all of my grandparents anymore. And I need to actually talk to my living grandpa more. Um, because like I just miss the stories that my grandma had so much, and there were so many other things I wanted to hear or learn, and I'm like, God, I just like really wish I could talk to them again and hear about these things that either I forgot or just like now being at a different stage in life, like hearing how it was for them where at this stage that I'm at, or whatnot. So it is, yeah, a lost art for sure. And there's a lot of conversation about it in the podcasting world and industries, and the importance of it in marketing, trying to actually be a brand storyteller instead of just like buy my shit,
Yes.
and kind of going that route with things. So as simple as like, yeah, marketing and why that's important, telling your stories. And yeah, it's just like that's what we're here to do, is tell people's stories. There's podcasts out there who want to talk about the product, who want to talk about like what's happening now kind of thing. But from the start of this, it was always for me, like, I want to hear your story. And
Yes.
like, and it's very much always going to be the middle of your story. Let's talk to you in a year. Where's your story gone? Like catching up with
Mhm.
Sensi. It's like, okay, your story
Dude.
goes on until you die.
Yes.
So you can
Yes.
always just keep telling it because it's always changing and evolving. Um,
Always.
and yeah, so you have your base and then you just keep adding chapters. So it's always cool to share with people.
Well,
Was
keep up
that
the good
the,
work, my dude. You're really building something awesome, and I'm just so proud of you, and I'll forever be your hype girl, and I
I,
just
l-
love you.
I just love you. I can't wait to be able to see you in
Uh,
person and do some shit in person too.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, what
So
was the transition you were gonna do?
the transition was gonna be like, oh, since we're talking about chamois and it's all
Mhm.
about ass and stuff, what was your tits and ass moment of the week, honey?
Mm, good question. That's fucking tough. Okay, got it. Um, so it's gonna be very kind of just overarching general. I mean, tits was just meeting these fucking crazy amazing women in person and getting to have so many like very authentic feeling conversations. Like I said, it did not feel like I was imposing on people. It didn't feel like people were like, yeah, come say hi. And then I was like went to say hi and they're like, oh, you actually came to say hi. Like, we don't really want to talk to you. So it was really great. I did get that feeling from one group at one time. I felt a little like, okay, I feel like the little bug in their ear always bothering them. But I also was like, okay, realize that in the world, what this particular company, many companies are, but an apparel brand is dealing with tariffs and all this crazy shit that they're stressed the fuck out. This weekend would be nice to be able to turn off, but it's not that easy. So I think that the weight of the world could have definitely been on them. And I revisited later in the weekend and it was just great. And I did not feel that way anymore or anything. So yeah, overall tits was meeting and connecting with these amazing women and knowing that like many more want to continue to connect. And there's a lot of things like growing and stemming from it. Ass of the weekend was I camped at the event. There's many campgrounds that they have. They were sold out by the time I got around to looking. I think they sell out pretty quick. I was in this campground that's barely on the event map. Like, here's the whole square of the event map, and it was literally in the far right corner, like barely there. So it's pretty far off. I drove into the event each day, also because I had a crap load of crap every day. But it felt like the overflow degenerate campground. I mean, there's a lot of families there, it was fine, but there was this group of like college age kids, couple sites over, that were just so fucking loud. At least Friday and Saturday night. The first 2 nights were a little quieter because those are just quiet in the event in general. So even though the camping wasn't that bad, it was still the ass moment because I'm like, I'm not used to camping around that many people either anyways, but I'm like, next time it's either campground off-site, or I mean, maybe the other campgrounds are a little bit better. I'm like, "Mr. Campground host, can you fucking get over here and shut these people up? It's 1 AM. Like, I got shit to do tomorrow." And, like, we're not in the campgrounds even in the wilderness have, like, quiet hours, but
Yep.
I felt like, cool, I'm that crotchety 30-some-year-old single, like, because I was there, single woman, like, who just looked like a bitch, and
Well,
I'm just trying to remember, like, me being in college and doing that. I'm like, "God, I can't believe I'm at this stage in life where I'm like, shut the fuck up."
hey, it's a badge of honor, my guy.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like there should be like an organization of the camping where it's like, okay, for the partiers, we're gonna put you the fuck out here.
Seriously.
For
Yeah.
the people who are here on like a 9 to 5 sleeping schedule, I guess we could say it,
Yeah.
like we'll keep you over here with the families. Like it's kind of like an internal timing clock
Yeah.
thing to like put the people who wake up at 4 a.m. will camp over here. The people who
Yeah.
wake up at 7 will
Totally.
camp over here. The people who party all fucking night will be far off into the wilderness. Like
So, yeah, absolutely, and I mean, I did like camping at the grounds because, like, if I was in one of the closer campgrounds, you can just ride your bike in and out, so I was like, I would definitely, if I camp again, just try to not stay way out there so I can commute back and forth a little bit easier and not feel like I'm driving my freaking car in every day, but because it was nice to be, like, on site and close and not have to drive in because there's a fuck ton of traffic getting in and out every day. So if you're camping off-site, you gotta be in even earlier to beat that traffic. So it was a plus, I can't say that I won't stay on the event grounds because it's very convenient, but I also think camping alone in that environment is just not as fun. If I was out backpacking alone, a little bit different, but there, it was too easy, like, go to town, like, "Okay, I'm just gonna" 'cause I don't know, I just didn't wanna be around all the noise either after talking to people all day, so camping would definitely be 100% better, like, with you there to be at the campground, like, "Alright, we can actually stay and mingle and have fun, but also
go
we
to
don't
bed
have
at a
to, we can
reasonable
isolate."
hour.
Yeah, totally, but I didn't wanna sit outside my tent alone because I also was like, "I don't want people to come talk to me because 'cause I'm alone." They do that, and I'm like, "No, no, no, I don't wanna talk to anybody," but now I feel like, again, just a bitch, but I'm
Decompressing,
like, "You don't get it. I've been, like, on the go
talking to
all
people all
day, like,
day.
I just wanna I'm totally fine
Yeah.
being alone. You don't have to talk
Yeah.
to the lone woman. She made this choice to be
Yes.
here alone."
Beautiful. What a beautiful thought, dude.
But again, it can sound, that's where we get the fears of like, oh, you sound like a bitch, like just because you don't want to talk to people. Like I talk to people all fucking day. It was great.
We
I
have
put
our
myself out there.
reasons.
So now's my time to like, I wish I had a whole shield around me where you didn't see that I was sitting here alone because I'm
Visibility cloak,
enjoying
if you
this
will.
time alone. Yeah, totally. So yeah, camping wasn't that bad. So it was, but it was the ass moment of anything there. And yeah,
And not a bad ass moment, and also something that is like pretty common at events like this.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I'm sure last year at Sturdy Dirty, we were probably the loud late partiers.
I was thinking,
Yeah. Which we went to bed at
that's
like
ex-
10:30,
that's
maybe 11.
exactly the thought I had. I was like, oh my God, last year at Sturdy Dirty or the year before.
Those people.
Yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
wasn't even
I
like to
know.
that scale.
Not at all. They were like burning shit, pulling up their loud cars. We were still just the four of us quietly talking, and
Contained.
we felt like
Yeah.
we were raging.
Yeah.
So but that was
Ah.
like, again, that was a place where everyone there was like racing. So they were getting up early versus like, yeah, like you said, where I was, there is a camp place for the athletes. So they're segregated. Um, but but yeah, so got the ropes of the event. So next year will be even better. And like I said, we'll figure out getting you down there, whether you're gonna fly down somewhere, or do a little road trip or something. Just keep it in your calendar for around this time in April. And once they actually release dates for it, we'll start planning well ahead of time. Because yeah, usually everything, as you all know out there, is pretty last minute for us and me especially. So yeah, but I do have to wrap it up so I can get on the road. The
Yes.
thing with this, it's like less than 4 hours to get to where I'm going, but there's a time change of an hour. So I lose an hour. So it's like almost 5 hours. So I'm like, God damn it. Like, and I just want to, yeah, pull up with some time to get settled, and because we need to be there 3 p.m. sharp. So I'll give myself just a little buffer for any stops or things that might happen along the
Drive
way.
safely, safe
Yeah.
travels, and please just enjoy the drive all by yourself, being out in the world for me, because I have that itch, and yeah,
Uh,
Mama needs a road trip. So
yeah, we got to get you
enjoy for
out.
me.
I will. All right, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening and for the recap of Sea Otter. I'd say if you're big into cycling or want to get into more of that bicycle world, I think it's a great event to go to because there's a lot of things to learn if you are just getting into it. And you can demo mountain bikes, demo
So
gravel bikes,
huge.
get out of the event and go actually test them out. There's clinics. I forgot to mention I did a ladies all ride clinic, which was super cool. I thought it was going to be more of a ride and it was more of a basic clinic. That's okay because I just wanted to be involved and see what ladies all ride was about firsthand. I've been following them forever. I know what they're about, but it was really cool to be able to experience Lindsay Richter teaching. She's fucking amazing and great. I love her energy so much. And that was also like through Live, which is my bicycle brand of choice. But I do love those salsa gals, and I know you're a salsa gal,
Yes.
Amber. So yeah,
Yes. I'm a
there's so many
spicy bitch
opportunities.
over here.
Totally, there's so many opportunities for people who are more on the beginner, not fully immersed in bicycle world at Sea Otter, and for people who are all in, like literally wherever you're at in your bicycle world, it's a fucking fun event to go check out. So much going on. So I would definitely check it out if any of you have the chance to get to Monterey and make a trip out of it. So again, thanks all for listening. Stay tuned. We'll talk more Sea Otter stuff, have some guests on from the event, and we're getting ready. Saddle up, bitches. It's bike
Yeah.
season.
Ooh. I love
Bye.
it. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.